agents get their blinders on when they're going into prospecting for new business, and they're really narrow-minded and one-sided and try to force a certain solution down a seller's or buyer's throat. And it's turning off a lot of sellers because you're not listening to them, you're not trying to provide multiple solutions until you get someone like myself in front of them and they're like, okay, you just solved all my issues, I'm going with you, and hands down, right? So, there's a lot of different questions I think you guys need to be asking when you're engaging and talking to clients. So it's like, whenever we're talking to sellers, we run a cash offer model on the investment side, and so we're getting more and more leads all the time, and so we're, just for education purposes, sometimes I'll ask them, like, why do you guys not want to list this? Like, I don't want people in the house, I'm not paying closing costs, I'm not fixing anything, and a lot of times it's because of their situation. They might be embarrassed a little bit, right? Their house might smell bad and it's got some deferred maintenance, and they might be going through some situations where they getting divorced or whatever, and they don't want all the neighbors in there to know their problems, or maybe they're on the notice of default list and behind on their mortgage, so it's embarrassing, those type of things. So understanding their motivation, why they want to sell, and then really diving in on different types of questions to provide different types of solutions. So they're all most of the time stuck on some sort of Zillow valuation, but it's like, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's the condition of your property, and have them air it. So it's like, oh, it's a 6. Okay, it's a 6. So tell me about it. Like, why do you say it's a 6, right? So they'll be like, well, the roof's got a leak in it. And you'll be like, oh, did you have a bid on that? And they're like, yeah, it's gonna cost 20 grand. So you start writing that down. Oh, hey, the AC's broken. Do you get a bid on that? Yeah, it's another 10 grand. So you start going down the list and say, hey, I know you're saying you want 500K because the Zillow price, but you've got $70,000 in deferred maintenance. Do you have that money to fix that stuff? And they're usually like, no. Okay. And then on top of that Zillow price, it's paying realtor fees, closing cost commissions, and all that. Do you want to do that? And if it's in that situation, they're like, no. So they're like, okay, so what's the amount of money you need to net on the sale? So it's getting them off sales price, getting them on net dollars in their pocket. So, and then that starts opening up other conversations. So it's like, okay, what do you owe on this place? And they say, hey, I owe,
excuse me,
couple hundred.
So sorry.
Couple hundred grand on it. And what kind of loan do you have, right? What interest rate do you have? So those are all pertinent information right now. So, if they have a conventional loan, if they have a VA loan, those type of loans are all wrappable, which is a very desirable thing for investors to come in and have to put low money down and be able to wrap that mortgage and, take over that property without having to utilize their own credit. If it's a VA or FHA loan, those are assumable, right? So there's a lot of people out there looking for assumable loans. So it's getting down, the net dollars, what type of mortgage, what's their situation, what's their motivation, what's their timeline, where are they going, where do they need to go, and then custom creating a solution for that person based on their needs. Average agents like, hey, you want to list your house? And they're like, no, I don't want to freaking list my house, right? But I'm providing a solution for this person. Right. I'm getting their net dollars in their pocket they need. I'm not having a circus show going in another house, open houses every weekend, and they're happy and they're on their way, right? So, but a lot of times those guys will come to me and they'll be like, hey, I want 500K. I'm like, okay, what's the condition of your property? It's a 10. Okay, when can I see it? Can I see pictures? I always want to get pictures. We did all these upgrades there. Okay, this probably makes sense for you to do that. Why don't you list this on the market? And a lot of times there's like, yeah, we will, or we haven't found the right agent, or whatever the case may be. So then you got to do your song and dance on why you're the best listing agent to take that property. But more often than not now, I think agents have created a bad name as just trying to push one solution down people's throats. So they're just so turned off. And then all this NAR business, they're like, oh, commissions, all this bullshit, So it's like, I won't charge you anything, right? You're gonna get your net dollar on our sales price. My buyer's gonna pay for everything. And so that's very attractive to a lot of people. So, as you guys get in those conversations and situations, feel free to bring me into the deals and I can help you structure and create it. We just locked up, it's out in Buckeye. She was gonna list it at $399, but it's distressed, it wouldn't be lendable. So that's another issue. If the property's not lendable, you're really limited to cash buyer or investor. So it doesn't have flooring, those type of things in there. And I'm like, what does she really need to net? And here's where we're asking more questions is, I'm like, what's the situation? Well, it's a domestic violence issue. The whatever partner's out of there. She's 2 months back on her mortgage and her HOA dues. So that starts ringing bells in my head. What happens when you go 90 days down? Do you guys know? What happens when you go 90 days down on your mortgage?
Foreclosure.
Goes on the trustees.
Raj.
You go on the public
Hi.
notice of trustee sales list that is publicized every week, right? Every investor, every agent, everyone and their mother is gonna be calling, showing up at your doors, like it's gonna turn into a circus. So you don't wanna put that poor lady through that situation, so it's very time sensitive. So if she's gonna take it to market, she's gonna be limited to a cash buyer. She's probably gonna go on the notice of default list, which is gonna further deter and hurt her credit, right? So we're coming in with a solution. We're gonna bring a cash buyer in there. We're gonna close it in 2 weeks for her, and we're gonna allow her to prepay rent out of her proceeds because her credit's shot for the next year. So the investor's stoked, the seller's stoked. She doesn't have to leave and find a new school area for her children. She can stay in that place and everyone's happy. So those are the kind of things that you got to keep your eyes open for, and that's the kind of transactions that are happening out there. And when you run into that stuff, or if you run into stressed property, like we don't have to take it to market. I can still pay you guys out on the deal. Just bring me in on it and we'll bring an investor, and it's the easiest money you guys will ever make.